how individual people made it a V line to say, you know what, you're making the best choice for your political view. And I saw it by the manifestation of the things in my life. I went from being a Democrat to becoming an active Republican.
Robert, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Callum.
So you're an American, all the way over here in Romania for the election. What brings an American this far over?
Well, Romania is extremely, as for lack of a better word, it is a place that is a very important strategic location. Having the Black Sea connected to it, off of the coast of Costanza, it has a specific particular rhythm to it at this time. The people are ready for a certain type of change. You can go through Bucharest and you will see signs that actually say, "Make Romania great again." And it is extremely touching to be able to see this and the movement that has gone across the country and across the world. So it is a strategic point that is very, very, very important to America.
And do you think that, that MAGA movement in Romania is working? Do you think it resonates over here from what you've seen?
I'll say it this way, Callum. Vox Populi has done a great job to reach the world, hasn't it? And with the outreach that you've done, the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, America being the forefront country of this world at this specific time, having the power that it does have, it has a certain responsibility. Us being great means the world is moving towards a certain direction. With the ideals of President Trump and the abilities he's been able to establish in this 47th run he's having, it has given us an opportunity to become a world leader again. Our last administration pushed us to the brink of destruction. It pushed us to a place that gave us a place in the world that individuals are looking at us and actually laughing and saying, "This is supposed to be our leader." That's not what we are. And it's not an unhumble way that I'm saying it. A leader must be a leader, and it must know when to follow and to be able to say thank you, please, and excuse me, to instill these values into our children. And this is what Make America Great is. It is a movement that the whole world can become part of. And it's not just America, it's about the world. So in actuality, as we're sitting here today, I think you and I need to go ahead and patent Make the World Great Again.
Joe, it's interesting you say that because, I've spoken, people in the UK, they ask me, why do you care about MAGA and what's going on in America? And I tell them, it's because actually it's more of a Western movement.
Absolutely.
It's more of an Anglosphere, a Western Hemisphere movement about basically just going back to values that work for a functioning society.
Yes.
But you mentioned then about the last administration was destroying the country. Mm-hmm. From what I gather, you're actually fairly new to the conservative movement. Tell me a bit about your journey to joining us.
My journey came after living 15 beautiful years outside the country, having the ability to be able to see the world, experiencing things from not one lens. I'm born and raised in a beautiful city called Los Angeles. And having the ability to be raised there, we always had a phrase, if you can grow up in LA, you can experience anything. And it prepares you for everything. And then going out into the world and reaching out to people and being able to experience London, England, and Athens, Greece, and Lagos, Nigeria, and Bucharest, Romania, and those type of actual things that we have in our life are experiences you can never purchase. Those are learned experiences. So having that ability to be able to become part of the world's global view, having an ability to be able to see individuals and people from a certain perspective, I learned something. Los Angeles wasn't the biggest city in the world. There are cities that have crossing points that have 500,000 people as soon as the light change. Just imagine that at one time to cross. And when I came back to my beautiful city, I found something that I never could fathom. I promise you this, Callum. I could never fathom Los Angeles, California, being a city that people did not look at as a leader. When I grew up in that city, I experienced playing basketball. I experienced growing up in that city. And individuals will actually come to the city and go, wow, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a place that is so well put together. It was graffiti free. We had certain things that people did fear because LA is a fast city. But the thing that we did not have is dilapidation. It was not decrepit. It was not a city that homelessness had taken over. So you saw individuals that have a thriving mind state. Well, I came back to a place and I just felt as though I was digressing from what I had come from. I had been to Qatar. I'd been to Hong Kong. I'd seen the airports. And when I came back to LAX, I felt bad. I came and I sat down and I had a conversation with myself. I said, man, God, what do I do? I don't know anything else except for the Democratic Party. That's all I knew until 2018. And it was just so heavy on my heart. It was just deep in my spirit. It's time for you to make a shift, son. So I looked into becoming a Republican for 3 months. Unfortunately, because at that time, now the LA GOP has really done a better job. They didn't get back to me for 3 months. They didn't have the outreach necessary to be able to get to the people. So subsequently, I had to be patient. And that's something that most men are not. Otherwise, it would have just been, oh, forget it. They don't want me. I would have listened to what society's telling me. They're not the party for everyone. But I can tell you this. The biggest change in my life was not only that. The biggest shift in my life, becoming a Republican, is how they embraced me. How they open-armed, how individual people made it a V-line to say, you know what, you're making the best choice for your political view. And I saw it by the manifestation of the things in my life. I went from being a Democrat to becoming an active Republican, having the ability to help men and women become part of Congress, Senate, and to push to have Donald Trump become the next president. So it's unbelievable to see where we are today.
And bring it back to Romania. Do you think, because we're seeing a lot, and I'll ask you this in a second, but we're seeing a lot of American interest in Romania. Do you think a country of Romania's size can have an impact on the conservative movement in America if George Simeon wins?
Absolutely.
How?
Simeon sitting in the seat. He has made, that means that the people have made the same mandate that was made in America. I need change. I'm not going to speak about individual parties because the other parties don't have to be named. I'm speaking specifically about George Simeon. He has made it his point to say, I'm going to become the candidate that will make this shift from a beautiful country that came from communism. I have a beautiful wife who is a fantastic Romanian woman. I have a beautiful family that is a portion of Romania. I want you to think about something. I want you to think about my wife experienced communism for 3 years. Now, being raised in a country that has residue of communism, and then coming to the free country of the world as America is. She experienced something. She said, Robert, you don't understand. What they're trying to implement, I lived. And George Simeon is the man that has the ability to be able to say, stop, that's enough. The news is doing the same thing in Romania to him that they did to Donald Trump. So having men like yourself taking to the forefront, being from London, England, taking the responsibility that you've taken to come here, I commend you. It is men like yourself that want to be able to have free press, free journalism, to have the ability to be able to open your mouth to be able to speak affluently. You see the word I chose, affluent. It means rich. Rich speech is being able to speak to someone and having the ability to be able to look them in the eye and say, yes is yes, no is no. My right is right and my wrong is wrong. So George Simeon is that candidate that can get that done for Romania.
I suppose you're in a very unique position as well, because if this makes sense, you're on the inside looking in from the outside. You're married to a Romanian, so that you have an extended Romanian family.
I do.
What do you hear from them? Because obviously, you and I both know how the mainstream media works, and most people watch it and they just kind of regurgitate what they see on the TV. What do you hear from Romanians you know about what's going on in Romania right now and where this election's going?
That question is so powerful. I've heard since the time that I've been here that the things that were put on the news to convince individuals that he is for communism that he is, listen to this, that he's a communist, he's an extremist. Don't these words sound familiar? That he's an extremist, that what he wants to do is take away all your freedom and ability to be able to speak freely. Unfortunately, the beautiful country of Romania doesn't have one word in it that he could use back, that it's a republic. See, the word democracy, when you study the actual word of democracy means that the majority party has control once they win. And once they're in the seat, they don't have to listen to the opposition, which is the minority. That's democracy. But when you study it, what George Simeon has studied, and I'm sure you've done also, Callum, because Vox has done a great job of covering and with journalism. George Simeon has done something where he's understood the democratic republic of, okay, he has taken republic ideals and said, I'm going to give the minority a chance to speak, but we're going to take our leadership and be able to go forward. Let's move our country ahead. He wants to do infrastructure. He wants to be able to bring families in so that they have correct medical care here in Romania. Too many elderly people are dying because they're outside of the natural Bucharest, and they're not able to get response times necessary, unfortunately, within the country. So he has educational issues. He wants to inform the beauty. I can give you something that's an amazing story. My wife's last name, her natural name was Dragic. Do you know who the most famous Dragic is? And I'm asking you a question, you're interviewing.
No, I don't. No.
The most famous Dragic, his name is Tesla Dragic. Elon has a company named Tesla.
Yes.
My wife's last name is Dragic, and she studied to understand her lineage. Now imagine if other children in this beautiful country of Romania may know that they have the lineage of a king, or they're affiliated with the Dragic family. And the growing individuals that are here that are extremely successful, because there's successful men today, and they're able to understand the ideals of the foundation of what they did come from, making them what? Their mind state is, I have a thought that creates an action, their action creates a habit, and their habit creates a lifestyle. These individual men and women in this country need leadership like Simeon. He wants to introduce this into schools, let you find out what you are to create a new day of leadership.
It's interesting you use the word there, they need leadership, because when I've spoken to Romanians, especially, I find taxi drivers are a very interesting one, because obviously
Great statement.
taxi drivers, they're almost like pub landlords. They speak to everyone, they hear everyone's story. So you get a really good kind of feel from one person what the populace is thinking. And a lot of the taxi drivers, they're all, well, I've not had one yet that isn't pro Simeon, or rather, they were pro Georgescu.
Nice.
And for them, this is actually an election about what happened in November. Why do you think, particularly the European Union, but let's just say the powers that be, wanted, well, I say wanted, they effectively got rid of Georgescu. Why do you think they also want rid of Simeon? Why do they see him as a threat, and why do they not want him around?
We have individual companies. You see how I said it? Not countries, companies that have great stake in the European Union. Those companies have financial backing that is extremely strong. So every country has that. France has Lafarge, which is a huge cement company. Germany has Adidas, Bayern, and other, Mercedes-Benz. So every individual country has their own ideals that need to grow for their country to be sustained. Whether it's oil and gas, whether it's energy, whether it's LNG, we're fighting to be able to be the leader with graphite and or other things. So let's break this down. Why is it so important for the European Union to keep stake in Romania, to make sure that their candidate, quote unquote, is the leader of this specific space? Because it dictates what will happen, and the people are catching it right before the election. Wait a minute. There's a war going on in Ukraine. Oh, what we forgot? We forgot that under Obama, that Crimea, Odessa was taken and made called Crimea. Under Biden, then Putin went in and attacked the whole entire country, which was a response based on what he had said, please don't do this. So I can't be mad at someone if you tell me, please don't step on my shoe, Callum. I'm going to respect what you're saying. And if I do step on your shoe, I may get punched in the face because you are kind of strong.
I don't know. You're pretty big yourself. I think I'd ask you again, please.
I'm not that. See, you may have faster hands. And that's exactly what happened. What happened is that we're in a position that we have individual countries because the European Union, the Schengen zone, it's more than 28 countries put together now. There's a response that they want their specific candidate to sit in the seat. But there is a Western hemisphere that is saying, a UK, an America, and several other countries. You have Poland, you have Hungary, you have Italy that has completely become a certain way. I believe personally, and this is my personal opinion, if you don't mind me giving, I believe that Europe is becoming a place that people are taking time to care for their future. There was a certain resilience, a certain turn. I had the beauty of living in a country called Greece for over 10 years of my life. And I saw a country that went from 2004 after Olympic Games that financially they were extremely affluent people, extremely affluent, to in 2013 when I got ready to leave. People were wondering if $700 was enough to be able to sustain their family. Well, why is it that Romania has to go through the same types of action from now until 2035 to understand, no, we can do more. That's making Romania great. Why is it that the young men and women of this country can't continue to be able to grow? Why do they have to wait for other places? This is the most unique thing that was said to me in a taxi, an actual Uber. The Uber driver asked, why should my son have to wait, Mr. Foster? And it struck my heart. The question was, why should my son have to wait? Why does he have to get approval from other things in the European Union to be able to become a leader? I said, sir, that's why we want to see Simeon win. And I said, thank you so much for what you said. That's all I needed to hear. Why does my son have to wait? Why does my daughter have to wait? We know that there are leaders within the European Union, but give these people in Romania an opportunity to be able to become great. And I believe that Simeon becoming the next president of this country, there will be an open door for children to be able to be in 10 years from now. That question will be asked again. Did my children have to wait? The answer will be no.
Well, I think that's a lovely way to end it. Robert, thank you very much for your time.
Callum, thank you. Thank Box. I truly appreciate your time. Thank you.